don't know. I don't even know what to say. It's just baffling.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when you going back to your earlier point about the not even being given into school suspension, but being placed out of school, and of
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Earrings Off. We want to invite you to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. You can find us on Facebook at Earrings Off Podcast and on Instagram at The Earrings Off Podcast.
Welcome to Earrings Off. I'm Lou.
And I'm Teresa. Let's get started. Lou, I'm sure you've heard the story. It's been all in the news, and I believe they might have had the young girl's funeral already. But I wanted to talk about Ma'Khia Bryant. Ma'Khia Bryant. Let me get her name right.
yeah,
Ma'Khia,
I
she was
heard.
the 16-year-old girl, Black girl, that actually called the police because of a situation. And once the police arrived, they didn't assess because they witnessed her with a knife in her hand and immediately shot her. And it's my feeling, and I've heard others articulate this as well, is that, they made a judgment call, a quick judgment call that she was an adult and that she was trying to hurt someone rather than defend herself, right?
You know,
And
I tell you, certainly, and raw,
oh
just
gosh, it's too much. Yeah, it is too much because certainly, she had a knife. I never heard anyone say that it's a machete. I can't bring myself to watch the video. I know it's out there. I have not seen it. No, I've heard no one talk about the size of the knife or how close she had come to
yeah,
actually cutting or stabbing someone. But
mhm,
4 bullets to the chest, really?
yeah.
That
Well,
was not warranted.
no, of course not. But so this is yet another instance of us being treated differently, and it resulting in death because there's been so much attention, and rightly so, placed on Black males and just the difficulties that they face and that we who love them endure. But I tell you, Black women and particularly Black girls. And the Ma'Khia Bryant case highlights this. Just having a hard time surviving. And it really it goes back to Teresa. Even it starts even in school, in elementary school, being treated differently
Oh,
and
yeah.
being scrutinized more. You and I, we both, I mean, it's our choice. We wear our hair natural. And how many times have we seen recently of Black girls in school being disciplined or suspended simply because of the way they choose to wear their hair? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was a story. I think we even discussed it on a podcast of a young girl, young, I mean, elementary, maybe
Right.
even preschool, who
Right.
got her hair done in braids with beads or something for her school picture.
Right.
And they refused to allow her to take her picture because of her hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
You remember? And some celebrities stepped in and gave her a photo shoot.
Yeah.
You remember that story? It was a
Absolutely. Yeah.
couple of years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, it baffles me.
Yeah.
It really
Well,
baffles me.
and I mean, we've heard those instances, and we've heard Black students in school, young girls who may choose to wear, a crop top or skirt, and it could be the same outfit that her white counterpart wore, but because it fits differently on our
Yeah,
bodies,
yeah,
somehow we are then scrutinized more with the dress is inappropriate, and our kids end up being suspended,
right.
for dressing inappropriately, for dressing not in compliance with the school's dress code. So it just goes on and on and on. There is such an insensitivity to our culture, to who we are, and yet we as African American women, we know how important it is for us to raise our children with that they have pride in themselves, pride in their community, pride in who they are. And
Right.
so you do that at home, you do that in our family, and we know that it's so important that they feel good about themselves and that they feel confident and they walk wholly into their uniqueness. But you send
Right.
them out into these school settings,
And they're
and
penalized.
oh my
Mhm.
goodness, they're penalized, and they're not only they're penalized for dress, and they're penalized when they speak up for themselves. We've raised our children to understand racism and what it looks like and what it sounds like when people call you out and treat you differently in these classrooms, when you receive inferior grades, not
Mm-hmm.
because your work wasn't on a certain part, but simply because someone didn't like you. So you have to, we embolden our children to speak up, to be respectful. But even when they speak up for themselves, they're suspended for that. They're said, they're told you're being aggressive. You didn't speak to the teacher appropriately. And it's like, really? They can't catch a break.
Well, let's talk about that suspension for a minute. Not only are they suspended, but they don't oftentimes get the choice to be in school suspended. They are suspended from school. So they have to be sent home where counterparts might get the
Right.
option of in school. Their punishment is often 3 times more than what others would be
And
for similar
absolutely.
infractions. It's
And
just and you started out talking about the fact about how we've been dealing with this with our young Black men. But what has been overlooked is how different young Black girls are being treated.
right,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
um, young Black girls and Black women, I think we have also discussed the fact that police are also shooting Black women, but those stories aren't making it to the news media in the same at the same those stories aren't getting the same attention, if you will.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
why it's
Yeah.
like what do we I don't know, I don't even know what to say. It's just baffling.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, when you going back to your earlier point about the not even being given into school suspension, but being placed out of school, and of course, when that happens, the young girls are missing valuable class time. This puts them behind in
Behind.
in their in their classes. This
Yes.
impacts their grades. This impacts them being able to pass to the next level. So
Yeah.
it's almost like
It,
there's a cascading effect of all of this mistreatment. And then we wonder why they began acting out truly because
mm-hmm.
they don't want to be in school. Who
Right.
wants to be going to knowingly go into an environment where you're going
We're
to be mistreated, where yeah,
treated differently because of the way
exactly.
you look.
And
And
so then they may end up in the juvenile justice system, which then places them at a further disadvantage because we know in the court system that they're not getting their fair shake there either. So it's like, really, this kid can't catch a break. And then you wonder why the statistics bear out like they do, because it's intentional. Just as we say that there are so many barriers intentionally set up against us, and it doesn't just happen when we're adults. It starts in school, and and it's just a lot to take in because I was like you. I had the chance to view that video of Ma'Khia Bryant. It's
oh, you
popped up
did.
on my feed so many, but I didn't look at it, Teresa. I was like,
Oh, okay.
I read all of the information on it,
Yeah.
but
Mm-hmm.
it's just, I'm sure at some point I probably will, but I just need a minute to just settle myself because it's a lot to take in. I did a blog some time ago that talked about we as African Americans, we're human. And when you have all of these accounts of murder and mistreatment, it begins to dissect us internally. It changes who you are at your core.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to guard against that so that I can continue to function because it's a lot. It's a lot.
It is a lot, Lil. And there's been so many, just so many senseless shootings in the last couple of weeks. It's just been awful. It's just too much. And the fact that
well, I just wanted to say that, I saw a video recently of a Black woman. She appeared in the video to be maybe 30-ish. And she said that she got out of prison that day. And when I tell you she was attractive, she was well-spoken, and her presence, the way she presented herself, it just wasn't what you would typically associate with someone who would have gotten out of prison that day. The way she carried herself. And so when I looked at that and listened to her, and even in my saying that way, it seems to indicate a bias, but just looking at her and hearing her, I just went, wow. And so I thought about that, for our community. So when we talk about children being disciplined in school and, facing suspension, and we laugh about now how in our community, if you got in trouble at school, you were going to get another punishment when you got home, or a neighbor next door, you'd be in trouble. But I just want to say we can't victimize our children twice by treating them as criminals when they are disciplined at school or face some type of assessment by law enforcement. Our first instinct can no longer be to just automatically trust that. We've got to look closer at what occurred to see if the punishment that was given by the school was even warranted.
Yeah.
So we got to take a minute to assess it, because I'm telling you, racism is real. It's not only what we deal with as adults. These children are trying to function in these environments where they are not wanted, where there are no other adults to place these adults in check, and where they are raining terror and havoc on our children. So we got to take a minute, step back a minute, listen to the child to see, okay, what happened there? There was a story recently of this kindergartner, I think he was a very young child, where this white teacher made him clean the toilet
my goodness,
with his bare hands. I'm thankful that he has a mom who listened to this child, a very young child, explain what he had endured at the hands of this monster during the day.
You know what? I could not. I applaud that mother for not going right up to that school and handling that woman, because he was so he what recourse did he have in that situation? He was a child.
Yeah. So
and her only thing, she had no response in why she made him do that. She had no response to that question. Why would you do that?
I got a response, because she's sick, and
she's very sick
in these environments. You should not be with children. Okay.
Right. You're right. You're right.
So that's just the reality of it. So I mean, it's disheartening, but we're keeping our eyes open here at Earrings Off to the injustices, and our sincere condolences go out to the family and loved ones of Ma'Khia.
Ma'Khia, absolutely.
So that's it for us today, folks, here at Earrings Off. Take good care.